It's 110 degrees outside and the fan is staying on. Hello and welcome to Procrastination Points video Snark. I'm making my way through Born at Midnight by CC Hunter. If you haven't seen the other videos, you might want to do that before jumping into this one, or else you might be confused. Links will be posted below. Chapter 10. Kylie is emotionally cold and distant towards Trey. I mean, he broke up with her, but then he calls and says that he misses her. Which seems even worse when you remember that Trey had shown up at the party with some new girl on his arm. He mentions hearing about how she got shipped off to some camp. This makes Kylie think about how many people that she's going to have to start lying to. But when she thinks about how her shrink convinced her mom that Kylie needed to go to the camp, Kylie feels even worse, because it was a suggestion, but mom bought it hook, line, and sinker. She also wonders if phones are actually allowed at the camp when Trey asks about it. Kylie honestly doesn't know, and how would she? They said that the rules were posted in the cabin, but she hasn't been to hers yet because of needing an explanation. But then she looks around and sees some other kids with their phones and feels better about it. She also spots Lucas talking with some other girls that she dubs Lucas fangirls. However, Kylie seems to think that he killed her childhood cat. Which, okay, that came out of the blue, but sure. Trey goes on saying that he's going to a soccer camp in the same area as the camp that Kylie's at and leaves it hanging that he wants to see her. Kylie asks about the girl, who gets a name other than Trashy Bimbo Slut, but Trey insists that he wasn't really going out with Shannon. Kylie then uses the excuse of how things are run at the camp and not being able to get away, but Trey is certain that their camps wouldn't be too far apart. Kylie is torn because Trey was also somebody that she went to when the going got tough, and was more than simply her boyfriend, but he still broke her heart. Kylie quickly hangs up when the counselors announce that lunch is being served, even though didn't Kylie already eat? Why were people hanging out in the cafeteria if not to eat lunch? Derek asks if Kylie was talking to her boyfriend. Kylie is kind of mortified to realize that maybe everybody had heard her conversation. He says that he read her body language, but also says that some people at the camp do have supernatural hearing. Kylie asks Derek what he is, and he says that he's half fae. She actually needs a minute to remember what that means. Another way of saying fairy. She asks if he can see ghosts as well. Derek is about to respond when Lucas appears behind Kylie. He says that she lost something and then gives her back the expensive wallet that her gran had given her the year before, which Kylie finds insanely suspicious because she knows that she'd left her wallet in her bag, which is still in the cafeteria. She then stares into his eyes and recalls their history together. It's not really much, but they still know one another. He lived near where she did, although they weren't in the same grade and weren't even friends. From the first time she'd seen Lucas riding his bike on her street, he had fascinated her in a mysterious kind of way. Ugh. The second part of the love triangle all but confirmed now. She then also remembers a kitten that her parents had given her. Lucas's head had popped over the fence, his blue eyes met hers. The kitten had hissed and scratched her, trying to run for cover. The boy stared and then said, "Be sure to take the kitten in the house at night, or else what happened to your other cat will happen to it." So, knowing what we now know about everybody at the camp, I'm pretty sure that Lucas didn't so much as murder the cats, but I don't know, eat it to survive or something supernatural. But Kylie's probably going to need to have this spelled out for her, isn't she? In a shocking move, young Kylie actually went to go tell her parents about what Lucas said. Her parents went to go talk to Lucas's parents, but wouldn't tell her what had happened, only just that her father was angry. But the next day, Lucas and his family were gone, so she supposed that it didn't matter. Until now. Lucas then gives her a sarcastic quip about having returned her wallet, which brings her back to the present. Despite Kylie's earlier thoughts about not wanting to make enemies of the eats people categories of campgoers, Kylie decides that she doesn't care in regards to Lucas because he killed her cat. Right, because one dead cat is totally the same thing as her life. I mean, I'm certain that the counselors would not let people just eat other campgoers, but still, she really needs to sort out her priorities. Chapter 11. They do introductions over lunch, and Kylie still doesn't know what she is, so this leads to even more awkwardness, because nothing is more cringy than group icebreakers. Holiday jumps in to try and explain things to everybody, but Kylie thinks that Holiday just made things way worse. Kylie's mom also calls, but Kylie turns her phone off. Not only does she not want to deal with her mom, but she also doesn't want to do it around people who have supernatural hearing. After introductions are over, the campers are encouraged to get to know the other campers until dinner. However, Kylie opts to be the standard teenager and mopes in her room, which she has to herself because aren't we special? I've never been to a camp where I didn't have to share a dorm with at least 3 other girls before, but then again, maybe this camp is rich. Or maybe Hunter has just never actually been to camp before. But Kylie is just grateful for a tiny bit of privacy because of her night terrors. Biting down on her lip, Kylie wondered again how her mom could do this to her, sending her here when only a week ago her mom had suggested that she not spend the night off anywhere because it would be embarrassing for her to let others see her in a sleep-dazed terror. Is your child waking up and screaming every single night? Don't worry, it's just that teenage rebellion. It's probably not some intense underlying psychological issue stemming from your own inability to be an actual parent, nor your inability to hold a relationship together in a meaningful way. But in the meantime, Kylie unpacked her things, read the camp rules, called her mom back, and tried and failed to get in touch with Sarah, who hasn't been heard from since before lunch. All of that so that Kylie can have a meltdown over her identity. Her dad then calls. Kylie really hates him for seemingly abandoning her and then not even so much as calling her once before he left. She doesn't want to hate him, but this is the situation right now, so she ignores the call. Miranda comes in and is surprised to see that Kylie looks like she's been crying. Kylie insists that it's just allergies. Della shows up as well. And, okay, I'm sorry, I can't get over how there's these tiny houses all over the camp and every single camper apparently gets their own room. No, seriously, has Hunter ever actually been to a camp? This place must be huge. Her dark expression reminded Kylie of how a person on a diet stared at a Girl Scout cookie right before it became mouth mush. Kylie's skin crawled at the thought of becoming mush in anyone's mouth. I had to read this, and so do you. Miranda asks if Kylie is going to come to the campfire later that night. Kylie starts to ask if it's mandatory when Della asks if Kylie's afraid of her. Della does have sharp canine teeth and says that she can hear Kylie's frantic heartbeat. Kylie lies and says that Holiday had assured her that everybody at camp was good, but when pressed by Della, Kylie says that she's still trying to swallow the existence of supernaturals. Both girls insist that Kylie is supernatural, or at least something that's more than simply human. However, Kylie asks if they're ever wrong. They say that sometimes people with brain tumors can throw them off, or the mentally ill, which Kylie thinks that she is. But then Kylie brings up the ghost, which startles both of them. However, this goes the exact opposite way that Kylie had anticipated. Della says that she's not going to room with somebody who can see and speak with the dead, which Kylie finds oddly amusing because the vampire is afraid of her. But then Kylie suddenly understands what it feels like to be the one that others are afraid of. But Miranda tries to soothe over Della's ruffled feathers, so to speak. Kylie eats dinner and gets jealous because Derek is eating with some other girl. She tries to tell herself that she was only interested in Derek because he kind of looks like Trey. Derek then turns to look at Kylie, and Della says that Derek is into Kylie. When he was sitting by you at lunch, he oozed so much testosterone that it was hard to breathe. He wants your body, Della teased. Are we seriously going to be going down the road of sentence after sentence of, I had to read this and so do you? Kylie, however, denies any sort of romantic interest in Derek. Even though she is attracted to him, Kylie feels like there's way too much other nonsense going on in her life. Kylie then watches as Della eats the pizza that they're having for dinner and wonders about that, but then she suddenly realizes that the red drink that Della has is blood. Miranda and Della get into a fight over what's grosser, needing to drink blood or keeping toads around. Although Miranda insists that she doesn't hang around toads. The toad is a guy who she accidentally cursed, but who can't stop changing back into a toad. So he comes around to Miranda whenever he changes, and she puts him right again. Kylie, however, still finds vampires to be scarier than witches. The girls also explain to Kylie that a part of the camp is to learn other cultures from the other supernaturals, so they have to drink blood, the witches put on a show, and the werewolves will transform. Oh, and Lucas is a werewolf. The other girls seem to be afraid of them, but not like Kylie needs to be told to fear Lucas. Derek comes over and asks what the Fae did last year. Since he's new to the camp, obviously he wouldn't know. The girls said that every furry has a different gift and tried to ask what Derek can do. However, if he has any, it would appear that he's unaware of them. Miranda and Della start fighting, and ugh, it's honestly kind of tedious. Derek tells them to knock it off, but Della gets up and leaves. Perry comes over and makes a crass comment, because I totally wanted to read about how horny that he is. Sarah calls, much to Kylie's relief. She leaves and wonders how far away that she'll have to be to avoid being overheard. Chapter 12. Sarah's mom ends up dragging Sarah to some museum, so Sarah hasn't been able to take a pregnancy test yet, but for some reason, Kylie still spends half an hour trying to calm her friend down, which Kylie enjoys because this is time that she would have spent worrying about her own situation. Sarah eventually says that she should go. Kylie makes her promise to call when Sarah is able to take a test. As Kylie sits behind the camp office, she randomly thinks about the guys in the suit threatening to shut down the camp, because I guess that we've really run out of things to talk about, so now we need to get back to the actual plot. But this is immediately followed by Kylie trying to puzzle out what she is, because getting to the point, I guess. She also thinks about her dad, but does nothing about that. She falls asleep behind the office and wakes up when it's full dark, although why anybody didn't go looking for her I have no idea. Maybe they legit just don't care at this camp. Who knows? She hears a roaring like a lion and howling wolves. And then Della shows up. She tells Kylie one question that she can tell when people are lying, like Toph or Daredevil, because of her supernatural hearing. But she also warns that some people are just so good at lying that it doesn't affect their pulse at all. Della goes on to say that Holiday sent her to go look for Kylie and that everybody is at the campfire. Kylie asks if she smells good to Della. Della poses a hypothetical situation where you're really hungry and you go into a burger restaurant. Do you go to order, or do you steal food off from somebody else's plate? Della says that as far as she's aware, she's never killed anybody, and then she goes on to say that much like with humans, there are good and bad vampires. As they walk, Della asks if there's any ghosts around. Kylie is still on board with thinking that she's honestly been sent there by mistake. They continue into the woods, and Kylie hears the roaring again. Kylie asks if Della heard that, and Della identifies it as the white tiger. Naturally, Kylie brushes this off because this is Texas, which 100% does not have tigers, and also we finally get an actual location. But Della explains that there's a wildlife park not too far away, and with her heightened senses, Della can smell the animals. They continue on into the forest in the dark. Della says that the fire isn't too far away, but insists that it's quicker to cut through the forest rather than to take the path. Della then starts to act weird, but the air is filled with a sense of wrongness, and Kylie feels uneasy. Suddenly, another vampire shows up and seems glad that Della brought a snack. And why is it that I feel like I've been reading a bunch of stories that struggle to get to the actual point? We're just randomly bopping around with this one, not really going in any sort of direction other than a supernatural camp. Where's the actual plot? Where's any sort of actual struggle? Thanks for listening to my book Snark on YouTube. If you enjoy my videos, please hit that subscribe button. I post a new Snark video every Monday. Please don't forget to check out my other Snark videos of stalking Jack the Ripper and The Plan. If you've already seen those, then you can head over to Tumblr for my main book Snarks. And if all of that is somehow still not enough for you, then you can become my Patreon supporter for just $1 a month and read a bunch of bonus Snarks that aren't up anywhere else. See you next week, you guys. And tried and failed to get back in touch with Sarah, who hasn't been heard from since lunch. But in the meantime, Kylie, can we not? The girls say that every fairy has a different gift and tried to. Della says that as far as she's aware, they continue on into the woods.